Союз нерасимый, великий. That's the Soviet national anthem. Now, if you know this or not, I used to be a Russian translator. Русско-английский переводчик, абсолютно без акцентов. I lived in both Soviet Russia and post-Soviet Russia. Yes, specifically Vladimir, Moscow, and at the time, Leningrad, which of course now is St. Petersburg. There's a lot of people that have asked me to make this video, and I'm not interested in repeating what somebody has to say. Specifically, it's Yuri, Bezmenov'S 4 stages of ideological subversion. This is from a 1984 interview. 1984. Yeah, it's quite some time ago, with Edward Griffin. Specifically, the 4 stages is demoralizacija, destabilizacija, crisis, and normalizacija. Demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization. I'm not interested, once again, in repeating what he had to say, rather expanding on and overlaying it relative to what's going on right now. I've actually dealt with this for past many ages. Demoralization has been going on since, we could actually argue, either we could say the 80s, but I think, and I was born in 72, that it's been going on somewhere in the mid-1990s where it actually kick-started. A lot of people have actually emailed me, and by a lot, I mean a lot, that a lot of the things that they see going on right now were talked about in great detail many, many, many years ago. I find it really funny that a lot of Americans, which are extremely unintelligent in the normal, confuse capitalism with communism, and I'm not interested in politics. And a lot of people have said that many times. People say, well, even though you're not interested in it, politics is interested in you. I'm only interested in freedoms and what is conducive to freedoms, and freedoms, of course, are expressions of natural order. But there's always these Hydra entities that want to control people. And by the way, I find it extremely funny, like, that kind of funny when people say that they think that socialism and communism are 2 different things. It's like, excuse me, SSSR, when you, this is Soyuz Sovietsky Socialistic Republic. The 3rd word there is socialist. There's no distinction. That's a distinction without a difference. It's like, that water is not wet, it's a liquid. Yeah, water is a liquid and it's wet. It's kind of like that level of distinction. I like to read one quote from Yuri Bezmenov, by the way, talking about trying to reason with demoralized people. And I've encountered this a lot. And by a lot, I mean a real lot. By the way, a lot of you did request this video, and I think it's extremely important. He says of demoralized people, they're contaminated. They're programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their minds, even if you expose them to authentic information. Even if you prove to them that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. It's not irreversible, even he said, and this is an accurate statement. He said you can't change anything about the nonsense that they believe, in his words, up and until the point where a military boot cracks them right between the legs. He said, except he didn't say right between the legs. He said right in the cajones. A little Spanish there. Not that I know Spanish. And he said only then will they understand. I'm interested in actually laying over, since this interview is from 1984, what's going on right now. I'll tell you where I'm about 100% certain we are right now, and that's actually about midway through the crisis point. But first demoralization, second destabilization, 3rd crisis, and 4 normalization. I've seen normalization up close, living in pre-Soviet and post-Soviet Russia, and compared to most Americans, especially today, I know I'm relatively extremely patriotic. Most Americans should have spent time in the pre-Soviet. I get along great with Russians, by the way. Spend time, I distinguish governments from peoples, you know. I don't hate any peoples. But people have their minds twisted due to becoming unintelligent and then brainwashed, and all of these stages which they experience, but which America is now. And of course, there's a really nasty subversion He talks about changing the perception of reality, and of course that is ongoing. There's actually an overlap. He actually says demoralization takes about 20 years to subvert the students, which I've said started about the mid-1990s. They overlap destabilization and demoralization. He actually thinks destabilization takes 2 to 5 years. I don't think it actually takes that long. Crisis, he admits, can happen in like 6 weeks or less, and of that I'm in complete agreement. And I'll say some things that are actually been going on the past few years, and you'll see the overlay is very perfect. By the way, Yuri Bezmenov is ex-KGB, Комитет государственной безопасности, ex-KGB agent. It's nothing like it is in the movies. I did work in Russia, yeah, certain work. I've done work for a couple agencies. I posted some pictures of me over there in Russia. Some of them are kind of funny because I used to have hair. I hung out with, not like, you know, for pleasure, hung out with KGB agents. The last time I did was in the Pribaltiskaya Gostinitsa. It's a hotel in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. Not that that's important. Anyway, he says about 20 years on demoralization. I say this started in the 1990s. I could be off one way or another, and a lot of this overlaps. Nobody can digest facts anymore. You know this is going on. Most of you confirm this, that what is up is down, and left is right, and good is bad. Subversion of freedoms. Everybody being locked down, I think everybody knows about that. And it's not just happening in one country. We actually have a multi-headed hydra, yeah, which is about the best analogy I could come up with. And one demonic figure whose name I won't mention that wrote the book on the plan of this hydra plan. UNIFICATION. I'll let you take a guess who that is. So this is in many, many countries. It's not just one where he's talking about stages of ideological subversion in just one country, like it was in the Mother Russia. Настоящие крепкие народы, yeah? Get along great with Russians. I don't confuse their government and the politics. And I know it's different now. I know it's not Soviet Russia. However, the guy that's actually leading the country, I'm not going to take a position one way or another, is ex-KGB. I mean, that's like saying an ex-Marine. There ain't no such thing as an ex-Marine. Well, there ain't no such thing as ex-KGB. However, Yuri Bezmenov was. He, immigrated here. He warned Americans endlessly. But since his interviews from 1984, I'm mostly interested in this video in overlaying his facts of ideological subversion about what is going on right now. Subverting of freedoms, everybody locked down. Trashing American patriotism, which is what colleges and schools teach now. You used to pledge allegiance to the flag. I mean, that's ultimately not extremely important, but this idea that you hate your own country, this idea of like a world citizen, there ain't no such thing on this earth as a world citizen. A lot of college punks and high school punks say, oh, I'm going to be a citizen of the world, man. I'm going to travel around with the band, see the... you could do that. You still need a passport. They're not going to let you. There ain't no such thing. Period. As unicorns, leprechauns, and a world citizen. This idea of hating your own country is ridiculous. Now, if you have valid reasons to, I can understand it, but it's like, have you ever been out... I had a debate with a guy like 2 years ago. He's like a red-headed, a ginger guy at the grocery store. I don't know how he started it. And I said, have you ever been outside of the United States? No, I never have. I said, why don't you go spend a few years and pick your socialist country? I actually know which country I said, but I'm not going to repeat it. I said, why don't you go spend a few years there and come back and tell me what you think? Kind of like that basketball player chick that was locked up in Russia, whose name I won't mention. And she used to say all this anti-American stuff, which I don't give a flying flip about. She came back and she admits, like, yeah, I kind of see this country a little different now. Yeah, I bet you do. I don't know how much differently, nor do I really care. Anyway, trashing of traditional values and families, being broken down and feeling powerless, serious issues. Everybody has this, they're living in a nutshell, and they're playing video games in the basement, and they're trying to isolate themselves from the real world. People are fighting taxes and paperwork and government stooges. And when 40% of the people or more, I say it's 50% is the breaking point, somewhere around there, but 40% is quite accurate. When you got 40% of the people working for the government, that's when you can really break it right in half. You take the whole country and just break it in half. Except this time, the multi-headed hydra is not one country, like the subversion of Russia and the establishment of the SSSR, Sovietsky Socialistic Republic. We're talking about the entire Western world and more than just the Western world. This multi-headed hydra, but it's the exact same thing. Don't you find it interesting that much like 50 Western countries, Australia, New Zealand, Canada especially, oh God, Canada has fallen, big time fallen. United States, Bahamas, France, Germany, UK, Ireland, Scotland, on and on and on and on. They're all experiencing the exact same damn thing. No time in history has that happened. Not even during the Roman Empire, which ruled much of Europe. You know, you can say, well, the whole world was kind of undergoing the same turmoil. But you can say it now. How come nobody's connecting the dots on that? People breaking down, PTSD, so that's demoralization. Destabilization, 2 to 5 years, according to him, and we could argue about that one way or another. I believe he's right. Right now we're in about stage 3 of destabilization, but also 2 in crisis mode. Economy, foreign relations, defense systems, use of useful idiots. I forget the philosopher who coined useful idiots. I'm sorry, I can't remember it right offhand. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Remember that? Lasted 2 years, and they said it would be 2 weeks. You know, just turning the flame up a little bit on the frog on the stove top. Just a little bit. You can't do it instantly because the frog will jump out. Government doesn't care about you one bit. Your rights, your suffering, your taxes. The news has always been bad, but I mean now it is really, really, really bad. A rise of fact checkers, rise of disinformation age. We're going to stop down disinformation. BBC announced that. Canada's announced that. They even had, it was such an outcry, led by this chick that was singing Mary Poppins songs. Remember her? I remember her name, but I don't want to say it. And she was going to be head of like a disinformation agency. There was such an outcry in the United States that they had to quietly nix that, but they'll bring it back. Don't believe your lying eyes. That's where the establishment tells you, no, don't believe you. Who do you believe, us or your lying eyes? Destabilization has gotten really bad in the past 2 years. And he said 2 to 5 years, and he's right. What Yuri Bezmenov didn't see is how fast you could destabilize a country by turning off everybody's social media accounts. We're just going to deplatform you. We can't have that truth being talked about. Yuri Bezmenov did not see that. It would take 2 to 5 years, according to his information, which would be accurate. That's before his 1980 interview, before computers went boom and the internet and everything. Now nobody communicates, you know, in person anymore, basically. So you can really turn up the dial on the speed at which destabilization occurs. And it has really occurred very quickly. And there is no chance in hell you can refute what I just said on that front. That's something he didn't anticipate. It's much, much faster to spread this fire and propaganda and lies through people's brains because it spreads at the speed of light. Before it had to be word of mouth, and it was slow, but like a virus. Now it's at the speed of light instantly. We don't like this guy, you know. We need to deplatform this guy. He's telling too much of the truth. Yeah. Turn off his account. Yeah. That sort of thing. You get what I'm talking about. Crisis. Right now we're actually about the midway point of crisis. He said 6 weeks. Actually, since this is a multi-headed hydra and it's occurring all over the world, it's going to take longer than that. You know, it's not just one country. But it is occurring rather quickly, so he's wrong on that. He would be right for one country to completely destabilize, to have the crisis mode occur after destabilization and before that demoralization. Talk about power and economy. Everybody's looking for a savior. That's what's going on here right now, and I've heard from a lot of you in many countless countries. They're looking not for a genuine savior, but for you know, an earthly savior. Crime is way up. Nobody can pay the bills. Groceries are off the hook. I have no wife, no kids, no house payment, no car payment. I got like 2 bags of nothing. And it wasn't even expensive nothing. At the grocery store, like 2 hours ago, that was $75. I can't even imagine. I work 7 days a week too. I can't imagine what somebody with a house payment, a car payment, a wife and kid or two. I mean, absolutely off the hook. How are they doing it? How's 75 bucks? 2 bags of cheap food. And I mean cheap! So everybody's looking for a savior. And once again, not in the literal sense. The crime, the shoplifting, the rioting, especially, you know, look at the world. The riots all over the freaking place. And if they're not there, they're about to occur. Not that I'm encouraging. I'm just saying what's happening. Nobody can pay the bills and the groceries. I see people going on diversion payments. I've heard from many people to pay their electric and power bills. Here's the other crisis. Collapsing banks, and the best experts on earth say there's going to be a whole lot more very soon. The implementation of central bank digital currency, which used to be called conspiratorial. That's never going to happen. Well, it is happening. It's Fed now, which kicks, tomorrow is June. It kicks in June. Yes, tomorrow. I mean, not literally tomorrow, but next month. Tomorrow is June. Australia's announced it. Britain has announced it. Canada, on and on and on and on. Oh, the banks are all collapsing, and all they're doing on the debt crisis is kicking the can down the road. And not very far down the road, too, by the way. Gas and energy prices completely off the hook. Remember in Canada where people were peacefully protesting and they seized people's bank accounts, making it completely illegal not to acknowledge silly things about other people, as they've passed that law in Canada. I don't want to go into the specifics on that one. It's completely insane, absolutely off the hook. Unbelievable, in fact. Australia locking people up in quarantine camps. That's not a conspiracy. That's an established fact. It's 100% undeniable. I hear from many Aussies, the stuff that's going on in Australia, it's way worse in Kiwi land. I know, New Zealand. But it's absolutely unbelievable what's going on. By the way, they're doing the same thing here as they're doing in Australia and Canada and much of the Western countries of Europe. You know what they're trying? They're turning everybody into debt slaves. Nobody can afford a home anymore. He's like, it's out of my reach. I gotta work my ass, grind my ass on the grinder. Not literally. I got a grinder right back here, by the way. Here we go. Let's. I could stick my rump on the grinder and bust my butt working 7 days a week. I'll never be able to afford them. Turning everybody into permanent renters. What we call that? There's an old word for it. Serfdom. Look that word up. A serf, a peasant, a peon, a subject. Darkstone entity. There's other Darkstone entities that has its hydra tentacles. This is not conspiratorial. It's hardcore fact. Can't afford. You can't even think about buying a house. Like, what about that little dumpy house over there that's like about ready to fall? Yeah, that house is $200,000. Like, what? It's not funny, actually. We are in the middle of crisis mode right now, 100% hardcore, undeniable. U.S. debt limit, they say they're going to agree to it, but it's kicking the can only slightly down the road. The current war in Ukraine, yeah, and there's escalation on both sides. I don't care what position or what side you're on. There's escalation of conflict. Oh no, we have a crisis. You know, the banks are collapsing. We need to implement CBDC. We're going to put you into lockdown. I don't know if you know this, the new bill from the WHO that gives them, and the U.S., the entities of the U.S. say they're going to sign on to it. That gives them total control over what they can and can't do. You go look that up. That was actually changed, and they even made it more powerful. They made amendments and changes to it that gave them more power to say what you can and can't do, which is absolutely, you know, Washington is rolling in his grave. Now, here's the other crisis thing. There's all sorts of, there's real crisis, which they're all contrived. Oh no, the world's burning down. Oh, no, every politician in every Western country, and even more, oh no, we need to stop cow farts and you eating steak, and we need to stop the crisis because the earth is about to burn out. You know, that line, the CC. Oh no, the climate crisis. I'm not going to say what my position on that is, but I'll let you take a guess. Oh no, Chicken Little syndrome, the earth is about to burn up. Oh no. It's because you ate steaks and you didn't recycle your aluminum soda can. That's the, oh no, we need to put you in lockdown. One more cow fart will be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Oh no. Fake crisis. Fake crisis, real results. Desired results. Let me repeat that again. Fake crisis, real results. Possibly fake. I'll let you decide on that one, huh? Not interested in sticking anything in anybody's mind, because the government's already got the patent on brainwashing people, and I'm not interested in infringing on that patent. Oh no, the Earth is coming to an end. We are in crisis mode right now. Somewhere right around the middle, maybe a little bit more than the middle. The last, and I've seen this in post-Soviet Russia versus Soviet Russia, because I've been in both, called normalization, which is indefinite. This is after, like, the Soviets rolled into Czechoslovakia, according to the Yuri Bezmenov, which is accurate. Also to Poland and Eastern Germany, made an agreement. It normalized things, but it's normalized stability of an inverted world that's completely against natural order. Here's something funny. This, on the thing of the useful idiots, all these people right now, they're anti-police, you know, the soy boys. The people that hate the police, you know, these are the people who want to cry, oh, you gotta get in the police. It's like, what, the same people that are protecting you from your store getting. Here's what they don't get because they're so unintelligent, the soy boys. I mean, it's basically like a spineless goofball that hasn't got a clue. It can't see past the end of their nose. When they get what they want, you know, they establish, you know, this dystopian utopia that they have an idea. Who do you think is going to be more police? More police win. The police that we have now or after it's established and normalization occurs? In other words, the world's turned upside down. Hydra has control over the world. You know, imagine this being, what do you think is going to be more police? Now or when Hydra has total control of the world? These people that, you know, with their, you know, their 5 brain cells that want to, you know, end police. This is 100% undeniable. There can be more police. Now, we would end police. Okay, you're going to end the police. You're going to replace them with, like, the super police, and there'll be 10 times as many of them. They did the same thing in the in Russia. You know, right when Vladimir Ilyich Putin, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin and Marx and Engels. Oh, you get rid of the cops are president. You got rid of the cops, and you replaced them not only with super cops, but like 100 times more of them. And these people didn't have to obey the law. No, they obeyed the authority. They're in the big building behind you. Krasny Ploshchad, that means red square in Russian, by the way. It's just so unintelligent. They call these people useful idiots. Well, this is stabilized tyranny, is what it is. This is what normalization is. 15-minute cities. You will eat the bugs. You will own nothing and be happy. You know what, own nothing and be happy? You're seeing it right now. Darkstone, you know, which is not, you know, the largest company on earth. Darkstone and all these same entities in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, France, Germany, on and on and on and on. You're going to make it so you will be nothing but a peasant, a peon, a serf, renting until the end. It's like when you, like, say you're living alone and you're, you know, working hard, and as soon as you drop dead, it's like apartments for rent. You can't pass anything on to your children. No, this ownership is over, but you will own nothing and be happy. Jawohl! That's not funny at all. And people, this is exactly what Yuri Bezmenov meant when he said, you can't reason with demoralized people. You'll talk to them, it's like talking to a brick. He didn't say a brick, but that's basically what he said. You'll have all these people that are, well, they end police. What are you going to do when you end police? You're going to replace them with super police and 10 times as many. This is what we mean by a useful idiot. Today there's a new world order. It's a socialist hydra that thinks it knows best. That is what is going on. You have to have reason. You have to love truth and freedom. You have to learn history, which Americans are really bad. You know, they don't know anything. Reject emotions and ideological cults. These are the answers, but nobody's willing to do it. Well, a handful of people, but not enough. Certainly not enough to reach critical mass to stop it from happening, where Hydra spreads its tentacles over the entirety of the world. This almost sounds like a joke. If I were to post this video like 3 years ago, people are like, hey, this guy's crazy! Now anybody with 5 brain cells is like, yeah, that is going on. That is going on. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you like this video. As a response to many requests for me to make this video about ideological subversion, the 4 stages thereof, as mentioned by Yuri Bezmenov, and overlaying it with what's going on now. Hope you like this video. If you want to contact me, my information is in the description below. Any donations are always warmly welcome. I hope you like this video. Lux Veritas. Freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom of what? Freedom from tyranny. That kind of freedom.